Today's date is May 19th, 2019. While everyone and their mother was out in Wyoming and Utah for no good reason, mind you, I was at Schrock Road, where I caught an NS southbound intermodal train led by a lone SD-70M. On this day, I was volunteering at the Ohio Railway Museum. I had arrived at the museum a little early that day, so I decided to hang out at Schrock Road to see if I can catch a train or two. After that train came on by, we then caught another NS intermodal train, also heading southbound. The double track line on the west side of the crossing is NS's Sandusky district, while the single track line on the east side is CSX's Columbus Line subdivision, nicknamed the Burt Line. One of the disadvantages here at Schrock is that unless you have a scanner with you, you can't see if there's a northbound NS train coming from a distance, unlike the southbound trains? Or can you? Unlike the Sandusky district, where it curves to the right, just south of the crossing, the Burt line is a straight shot for miles. And, if you have binoculars with you, or a good zoom camera, like mine, you can see all the way down to Worthington, where the Burt line crosses over the Sandusky district. Now we see the same train we just caught here as it crosses over Worthington. After that train came on by, it was now time for me to head to the museum. On this day, we were operating Ohio Public Service number 64 for regular operations today. I also had my GoPro on me that day, so I decided to do something rather unique for ORM. I decided to put my GoPro onto 64 to get an interesting view of ORM's main line today. Now let's take a ride down the old Columbus Delaware and Marion Railroad. '64 has now left the main yard and is now on ORM's main line. To the left, where the green barn is Silcox Railway Equipment, a locomotive repair and inspection company. As 64 continues down the line, one of the things you may not notice when you're taking a ride down ORM's main line is that the main line has two signals on it. The first signal is that large black box on one of the trolley poles passing by. ORM has nicknamed this signal the Darth Vader signal because it looks similar to Darth Vader's helmet. Unfortunately, that's all the information I have on this signal at this time, so if any one of you guys has any more information about this signal, leave it down in the comment section down below. We'll talk about the other signal in a little bit, where you can get a better view of that signal. Once upon a time, ORM had many crossings to blow whistles at, but no longer, as Potter Street Crossing is now the only crossing left, even if Potter Street doesn't exist anymore. It's now just a driveway for Silcox. We are now crossing 161 East Dublin Granville Road Bridge, which is ORM's only railroad bridge. On the south side of the bridge, where the freight cars are, is South Yard, which was put in sometime in the late 1960s by ORM. South Yard, as you can see, contains ORM's freight equipment, which has been graciously painted by Worthington's youth. The open space to the left is Hobo Camp. During the Halloween season, some of the volunteers at ORM come down here to camp and watch as passengers go on ghost hunting adventures in 64. I wonder if they ever found anything. As we go along, although you can't see it, we are passing Worthington, where NS and CSX cross each other. At one point in time, a tower stood here to control the traffic on both lines, but as you can see, that is no longer the case. We have now arrived at the end of the line, Colonial Hills. Now you may have noticed as we were coming in that there was an unfinished switch here. At one point in time, there were plans to put in more storage tracks down here, but it was soon learned that ORM didn't have enough property on the right side of the tracks to put in such sidings. So now it's the switch to nowhere. After the poles were switched round on 64, we now begin the journey back to the main yard. As we make our way back north to Main Yard, let's talk about the line we're on. The Columbus Delaware and Marion Railroad was formed in 1901 to construct an interurban railroad north of Columbus. In 1903, the CD&M bought out their rival at the time, the Columbus Delaware and Northern Railroad, which gave them their route from Columbus to Marion via Delaware. The way the CD&M got out of Columbus, Ohio, was rather complicated. Starting from downtown, they first went north on 3rd Street. Then, they turned right onto Chestnut Street, where then they would turn left onto 4th Street. Once across the Class 1 railroads, they would then turn left onto Warren Street, where they would then turn right onto Summit Street. Then they would take Summit Street all the way to East Hudson Street, where then they would turn left, then they would turn right onto Indianola Avenue. Once they got to Arcadia Avenue, they would then turn left, where they would then take it all the way to High Street, where they would then turn right to go north. Once past where 270 is today, is finally where the CD&M left their street running. Now that's a lot of street running. By the early 1920s, heavy automobile traffic and the eastbound hill on Arcadia Avenue slowed the schedule, making the Columbus-Marion run longer than it should be. And don't even get me started on the freight trains taking that hill, they would often have to double the trains just to get up Arcadia Avenue. So, it was decided in 1923 that the CD&M would build the Worthington Bypass, which is what we're riding on now. For the bypass, it continued north on Indianola Avenue till it reached Glen Echo Creek, where the line then turned right. The line would then curve back left to face north and follow today's Norfolk Southern and CSX lines. Then, they would stay with the Class 1s till they reached where ORM's main yard is today. It would then turn left to reconnect with its original main line at High Street/23. Unfortunately, in the 1930s, the CD&M faced many obstacles, in which unfortunately proved to be way too much for them, and in 1933, the CD&M filed for bankruptcy, and all passenger rail service was abandoned that same year. It was then later replaced by bus services. All that is left of the Columbus Delaware and Marion railroad line is the small segment we are riding on right now, owned and operated by the Ohio Railway Museum. Soon we re-enter main yard as we watch 64 come in. And with that, we have reached the end of our journey. But the fun's not over yet, as I decided on another trip that same day to have the camera facing the other direction. Now we ride the train again, this time looking northward. As we make our way out of the yard, if you look to the right of the screen, you'll see that other signal I was talking about earlier passing by on the ground. That signal is a former Pennsylvania Railroad dwarf signal. Again, that's all the information I have on that signal as well, So if anyone else has any information on that signal as well, leave it down in the comment section down below. We have now reached the end of the line again, Colonial Hills. Now we make our journey back towards Main Yard. as we make our way into the main yard, we have reached the end of this video. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Also, thank you Jacob Broehl for providing some big boy action at the beginning of the video. If you wish to see more of his footage of the big boy in action, I'll be leaving a link down in the description box below so you can both check out his videos and his channel as well. Well guys, I hope you have a good day. I'll be seeing you later.